Breaking news, a reported missile strike beyond the borders of Ukraine hitting Poland, NATO territory. CNN has the first international news team at the scene. So let's go right to CNN's Matthew Chance. He's on the ground in Przeworsk, Poland. Matthew, tell us what new you're learning.
Well, there's a lot of activity taking place here right now as the Polish authorities, as you can see, they've sealed off this street here, which leads directly to the location where that apparent rocket strike missile landing happened. They won't let us go any closer than this, but the Polish authorities have now confirmed officially within the past few minutes that 2 people were killed in this incident. Local residents who I've spoken to said that they knew those people. They were farmers working on a farm just a short distance from here, about 200 yards or so in this kind of direction, in a field basically over there. There's pictures circulating of farm equipment that's been destroyed, and those 2 people killed as well. Locals have spoken to me about how they heard a huge, terrifying whoosh as this, just before the explosion took place. The explosion itself rattled the windows of a local school. I spoke to the caretaker inside that school, and she told me about that. The children had all gone home, fortunately, but nevertheless, a terrifying experience. And it's one that could have implications as well for regional security, of course, because Poland is a member of NATO. It's not confirmed that these are Russian rockets. In fact, the Russians have denied it, saying that this is a provocation to suggest that these weapons are from Russia. But that's what's being investigated right now. That's why these Polish teams are coming to this location here, and it's close to 11 o'clock at night here, local time, to try and establish exactly what kind of weaponry this was and who may be behind it.
All right, Matthew Chance at the site of this suspected missile strike in Poland. Thanks so much. CNN's Phil Mattingly is in Bali, Indonesia for us at the G20 summit. And Phil, it's still quite early where you are, but we're hearing President Biden has been briefed on this situation.
Yeah, that's right, Jake. It's just after 6 a.m. and what is expected to be President Biden's final day of his foreign trip, 6-day foreign trip. And it was early this morning when the president was woken up by his team and briefed on the explosion on the ground in Poland. Now, the president's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, spoke to his Polish counterpart, and the president himself has just concluded about 30 minutes ago a phone call with the Polish president. This has been a process that one U.S. official described to me as methodical, as U.S. officials try and get a sense of what exactly happened on the ground. There has been no confirmation of the origin of what landed on the Polish side of the border, but there is an understanding, and a very vivid one at that, about the repercussions of what this may mean. Obviously, as a NATO ally, the Article 5 commitment that the president has been so unequivocal about over the course of the 9 months of Russia's war against Ukraine, that really hangs heavy over everything here. But U.S. officials making clear they don't have all the details yet, and until they confirm exactly what happened, they will not say anything or lay out potential next steps. One thing to be sure of, obviously the president here at the G20 summit, where Russia's invasion and war against Ukraine has been the central focus over the course of the last 48 hours, many of those leaders have been closely united with the U.S. in the response to that war over the course of the last several months. The president has been very clear that he doesn't want to do anything unilaterally in the response to what's been happening on the ground in Ukraine. That will most likely be the case here as well. All those leaders on the ground. Now, there are 2 events scheduled for the president today. We don't have any idea right now whether or not his schedule will shift, but we do know the president has been briefed. The president has spoken to his counterpart in Poland, so has the president's team. U.S. intelligence is still in the midst of gathering information, trying to definitively identify what transpired here, but the president very awake, very aware of what's going on, and already talking to his counterparts in Poland and elsewhere, Jake.
All right, Phil Mattingly traveling with President Biden in Bali, Indonesia. Thanks so much. Let's bring in President Zelensky's former spokesperson right now, Yulia Mendel. She's in Kyiv, Ukraine. Yulia, let me get your reaction to the breaking news, missiles hitting in Poland. What are you hearing from your sources in the government about who may be responsible and what is definitely known at this point?
Well, Well, okay, let me say that Ukraine considers that this is the part of the largest missile attack that Russia has done to Ukraine today, because the missiles really were striking almost every region of Ukraine and easily could cross the border to Poland. But let me say that Poland has already taken the decision to increase its combat readiness of several units, military units that are situated near the border with Poland, because Poland, of course, is very concerned. And Polish President Andrzej Duda is going to have another meeting of its Security Council tomorrow because of this. Well, we are very cautious, of course, about that, and we understand that Russian missile already recently has hit the territory of Moldova, and so possibly that it could easily hit the territory of Poland. Let me remind you that Russia already attacked the region of Ukraine, which is Lviv region, which is like dozens of miles from Russian border earlier, and there were hundreds of victims because of those Russian missile attacks on Ukraine.
Now, Russia, obviously, the Russian government lies. They lied, and they've lied throughout this entire process. Obviously, they lied. They said they were never going to invade Ukraine to begin with. So I want to ask this question, acknowledging that I don't really believe them, but I should note they deny. The Kremlin denies that it had anything to do with these strikes. They call this a deliberate provocation. How do you respond to that?
They said that this is deliberate provocation for the escalation. And let me remind today that Mr. Lavrov, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, left Bali today, the G20 summit. And before that, he had a very open comment to media that was saying another conspiracy, that the West, allegedly by Russian conspiracy, was supporting the war in Ukraine, was supporting Ukrainian, some neo-Nazi conspirological government, which means that Russia itself tries to escalate the diplomacy, tries to escalate the propaganda thing. So our Minister of Foreign Affairs already said that Russia tries to spread the lies that this was Ukraine air defense system that hit Polish territory. But we already denied as the government.
Yulia just froze up there.
Air defense system
She's
reaches
back.
the territory of Poland.
Okay. Yulia, there were several explosions just a few miles from you in Kyiv today. How are you doing? What can you tell us about that?
Let me say that right now there is another air alert in Kyiv, and it started like 10 minutes before. And there are several regions that also have sirens in Ukraine right now. So today there was the largest missile attack of Russia on Ukraine since the beginning of its large-scale invasion. And the last explosion that happened in Kyiv was so close to my house that I had my windows trembling. I don't know if there are many victims. We know at least about one person who died, and there were residential buildings that were hit today. But this is, they are defeated by Ukrainian army with the help of Western partners on the battleground, and that's why they're sending missiles to civilian infrastructure to kill civilians, and in this way try to make us defeat, surrender. Let me say that just in an hour before this largest missile attack on Ukraine, I learned that there were 14 Russian military jets flying with the missiles. Each jet would have at least 8 missiles. So we were counting that there would be 112 missiles, and Ukrainian air defense system, with the help of Western partners, managed to shoot down 73 missiles. All others hit the civilian infrastructure. We have huge problems with the light, electricity, water, heating in different regions. And still here that Russia keeps attacking. So definitely Russia behaves not less than as a terrorist state.
What do you think is behind Putin's latest missile barrage? Do you agree with the top Ukrainian official who says that this is Russia retaliating for Zelensky's speech to the G20?
Well, Zelensky at least was open about negotiations for peace. He said definitely that there were the preconditions for a peace deal, and definitely they were dealing not only with Ukraine. They were meant to stop blackmail of Russia in different sectors globally, like, for instance, the world and the energy blackmail to stop this financial crisis that walks around the globe, and of course to keep Ukraine safe and security guarantees for Ukraine, and of course about the nuclear threat, because this is something absolutely unacceptable. So what we've heard that Russia absolutely reacted in an absolutely aggressive way, and of course let me say that they are very disappointed by the loss of Kherson region, which is my hometown region, and they see that Ukrainians are celebrating it, and they need to retreat. This is already a systematic retreat of Russian troops from Ukraine, because let me remind you that they retreated from Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Kherson. So obviously they are angry, but this is only the Russia who is guilty in everything that is going on in Ukraine and actually globally with the crisis in different countries, and of course with its defeat, because it meets the unification of the civilized world who fight for freedom, who fight for actually our future.
All right, Yulia Mendel, thank you so much coming to us live from Kyiv, Ukraine. As President